On this episode of the Goggler Podcast, we're going to be talking about a Japanese movie that's available to watch on JFF Theatre. Now, if you don't know, JFF Theatre is an initiative by the Japan Foundation in which every season they will curate a selection of movies which you can watch for absolutely free. Now, if you've experienced the Japanese Film Festival in Malaysia, you know that this is a task that they do not take lightly, and all of the movies that are curated tend to be pretty damn good. And this year is no different. So, JFF Theatre this year began October 31st, 2025, and it runs all the way through February 3rd, 2026. Like I said before, there are 8 movies, and Bahir and I kind of settled on Restaurant from the Sky because it appeals to both of us as fatties.
Do not watch this before you have a meal.
Yes.
Or at least the movie should come with a warning that for you to be prepared to go out and get some delicious food, because
I was just going to say that. You know why? Because even if you've had it after you've had a meal, you will regret the meal that you just had. Because whatever you had is not as good as even some of the cheese you are about to see on screen.
what I also really liked about this film is that there isn't a lot of food. There is food, but there isn't a lot of it. It's not food porn, but also because the food feels accessible. You know what I mean? It's not some like fancy fine dining kind of thing. There's a nice sort of pea soup thing. There's a lamb thing. You know, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility to get in Malaysia.
The best way I can describe this movie is that it is about farm to table fare. That's the overarching theme of the film. And it is a film, it isn't a documentary. And it's set on farms in Hokkaido and centers around one family, a farmer, his wife, and their young daughter. And there is a moment of crisis that kind of forces everyone in the area to reevaluate their priorities. I think that is all I will give away. It's not really a spoiler to say more, but I went into this completely blind, and I was glad that I did because I enjoyed discovering this film.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing I can say for a lot of Japanese movies that feature on JFF Theatre as well as the Japanese Film Festival, because it's not the kind of movie that we usually encounter on a daily basis. And this one is completely surprising. Everything about this feels incredibly Japanese. It kind of leans into the everyday slice of life type narrative. And you're very much along for the ride. Like within minutes, you are inducted into this family and the quirky people that surround their lives.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there is the added element of Hokkaido cuisine and the methods of Hokkaido farming and how all of that ties into the narrative of being a Japanese farmer.
There are some really nice is not the right word. There are some really beautiful bits of dialogue here that really exemplifies the idea of striving for the best in your small thing.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't have to be a Nobel Peace Prize winner for you to have meaning in your life. You can be the best tofu maker in your village. You can be the best cheese maker in your prefecture, and that is on some level as good as being a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
That's what's great about this movie, right? It really makes a point to highlight the fact that every one of these farmers are very good at what they do.
Every one of these farmers and all farmers around the fucking world are important.
Correct.
Yes.
And I really appreciate the method by which this movie does that. It does it with humor. It does it without necessarily being preachy about the importance of farmers in the world and how they contribute to society. Everything always boils down to this family and their place in Hokkaido and their place in the world. And I think that is the kind of solid writing that gets you invested in these characters and in these lives, because you genuinely want to be there. You want to be a fly on the wall. I want to visit that farm if it exists by the sea with the great view at springtime. I want to hang out with these people. As they're sitting around their dinner table, I too want a chair to be able to pull up next to them, right? And I think, I don't know how else to describe how this movie makes me feel, but that's it. Like, I want to pull up a chair to that table.
I also want to take this opportunity to implore people who don't normally watch Japanese movies to give this one a go, because there is something about the way this movie tells its story that I think is very important, and how no one else in the world, I feel, can do this. Yes, you may have seen a Japanese film, you may have seen a Kurosawa, you may have seen any one of those sort of big Japanese movies that end up on our shores or end up on our screens via the US. And that's fine. Those films are great, but they still feel very American. But this one, the films that don't come out of Japan or don't get released outside of Japan via the US, I feel is more important. This movie opens with a blizzard, I guess, and what seems to be a lady from the big city sort of being dropped off in the middle of a farm, and she sort of stumbles into the cow shed. She meets Wataru, who is our hero in all of this. But we've seen that opening in an American film, right? And in an American film, that is the movie. This lady from the big city comes to a small farm and falls in love with the milkman, and there's a disagreement about how they're going to bring up their lives. There's her trying to fall into the pace of this idyllic village. We've seen that film.
Yeah, will this work? Big city girl,
yeah,
and young
they fight.
farm boy.
Yeah, she's walking around the farm in her big expensive Gucci shoes or whatever. But in Restaurant from the Sky, the film jumps forward. The film jumps forward 10 years. Restaurant from the Sky is essentially going to spend the next 2 hours telling you a story about what happens after the Hallmark movie, after the Happily Ever After. And I thought that was brilliant. I loved it so much. There is so much simplicity, yet heart, and just simple beauty in everything here. The camera work is relaxed. There's no massive crane shots and dramatic movement, and yet it was enough. Everything was just right.
I've never tried Hokkaido cheese, which I really want to try, which makes complete sense because they make some of the best milk in the world, so obviously they must make great cheese as well.
How did I not know there was Hokkaido cheese?
Same. I feel so stupid.
Yeah.
I want to try Hokkaido cheese, but I'm also curious if there are locations in the farms of Hokkaido where they do this sort of farm-to-table dining, and I need to dig that up as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like those are the off-the-beaten-track Japanese things, if they exist, that don't necessarily get featured on your social media guides to Tokyo or Hokkaido, right? And I think that would be something really, really fascinating to explore. I mean, that's the other thing I love about movies like this, because it just opens my eyes up to different aspects of the country. I've been to Japan quite a few times now, but of course, yet again, you kind of end up where other people have ended up because that's your only point of reference. And I think film goes a long way to introducing you to these other aspects of society that you wouldn't ordinarily see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, this movie made me excited on every level. I mean, the acting is fantastic. Like you said, Bahir, it is shot in such a simple but beautiful and meaningful way. The food looks amazing without tripping into Netflix chef's table food porn. It's just like everything from the first breakfast we see them have, which is just this cheese toasty with a tomato on top and some vegetables.
That first, it's not really a picnic where the farmers get together and sit down and have beer, and somebody throws the new farmer a tomato that he bites into like an apple.
Yes.
Oh lordy, it's just a massive heirloom tomato. Woof.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I
It's
feel
so
like
beautiful. It's
rewatching
amazing.
this movie.
I know. I think I need to. I watched it so we could record this podcast and review this film. But I think I need to make my wife sit down and watch it too. I think she'll really enjoy this film. But I need to get prepared with either food or a restaurant that we can go to after.
I want to introduce my wife to this movie, but at the same time I don't, because I know what will happen is she'll want to go.
And she'll want to go back to Japan.
And she'll want to go back to Japan, and my wallet and my bank account can't afford it just yet. She won't want to go back to Japan. She'll want to go all the way there.
All the way to Hokkaido, correct.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But it's such a great movie.
The movie is called Restaurant from the Sky. You can watch it for absolutely free on GFF Theatre. Just go to the GFF Theatre website, register, and there's a whole bunch of great stuff that you can watch. You won't be disappointed. It's Japanese cinema at its absolute best. Once you've seen Restaurant from the Sky, we want you to talk to us about it. So reach out. You know where we are. We're on Instagram on GogglerMY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.